All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. As you can see, I am in my garage and it is cold. It's about 5 degrees right now, Fahrenheit, single digits. It's been, really cold the last week or so. Negative 35 degree wind chill. So it's been super cold. And unfortunately for me, my garage is not heated, so it's still super cold in here. But I'm getting my ice fishing stuff ready to go ice fishing in a few days once it warms up. But yeah, it's been super cold. The last couple days, we actually had one power outage. Luckily, it was only for about 20 minutes or so, and then our power was restored. But I had some family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They were hit with 2 to 3 feet of snow. Super cold temps. They had a power outage for like 2 days, so their water pipes froze. No heat, and it was pretty bad for them. So luckily they got their power back, but that kind of brought me to realize, luckily I do have extra propane in the garage, and I do have a buddy heater that I use for ice fishing and as a source of emergency heat. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that you should have for emergency heat in your home. And it's way too cold out here in the garage, so I'm going to bring all that stuff into the house and we'll get going on the 5 things that I think that you should have for emergency heat. All right, the first thing that you obviously need is to have a source of heat. And I have the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy. There are also other brands of this type of heater, but this heater runs off of propane, so no batteries or electricity is needed. This model here has one ceramic heat plate. There's also a big buddy heater that will have 2 heating plates, and that unit will be a little bit bigger, but it'll also put out more heat if that's what you want. So on the side here is where you're going to hook up your propane, whether it's a 1-pound propane canister or you're getting your propane from a larger propane tank. So this here is the regulator, so you don't need to buy a separate regulator, and they've done a great job on making this unit pretty much foolproof, so you really have to have messed it up to mess this up. But the warning labels are right here. Just make sure you read all of them, because you don't want to have something go wrong when you're dealing with propane. And I also like the buddy heater because they have some built-in safety features, and this one comes with a tip over safety feature. So if you tip the unit over, it automatically shuts off, and there's also a low oxygen shut off. So if there's low oxygen in the room, the unit will also automatically shut off. Now, some of you might say, well, I have a space heater. Well, when you have no power, the space heaters don't work. So with this heater here, as long as you have fuel, you have the propane, you will have heat. And also, this heater is very easy to use, very simple directions. This is the dial right here with all the directions on how to get it to turn on. Once you get the heater on, the ceramic plate's going to turn nice and orange, and you will have yourself some heat. So this is the buddy heater. It's small, it's portable, it doesn't take up a lot of space, and most of all, it's reliable. The next thing you're going to need is propane, which brings us to number 2 and number 3. You're going to need a 20-pound propane tank, or most people will have these 1-pound propane canisters. And to be honest, I think most people will be running these heaters using the 1-pound propane canisters because they're convenient, they're compact, and they don't take up a lot of room. So all you have to do is attach it to the heater by connecting it right to this valve right here, and the tank will sit kind of like this, and it'll give you heat for at least a few hours. Now, the downside to these small canisters is that they're not going to last long, and they are also very expensive. And that's why it's a good idea to have the 20-pound tank. First, because it'll last you longer, and secondly, it's going to cost you less money. One of these 1-pound canisters is probably going to average about $6 to $7 or something like that. Whereas if you buy the 20-pound tank, it's probably going to cost maybe $1.50 or something per pound. So if you just do the math, you're getting more for your money. Which brings us to number 4. You can also run this heater using the 20-pound tank with a hose. And on the side of the heater, if you just look right here, it'll tell you exactly which part number you need for each specific hose. And as you can see, there are a few different hoses that you can get. There's a 5-foot hose and a 12-foot hose, and the part numbers are right there, right next to it. But with these hoses, you will need a separate fuel filter, and that part number is right there also. But there's also a 3rd hose, which is a 10-foot hose, and that's the hose that I have here. The part number is right there, and this hose does not require a fuel filter. So in my opinion, I would just buy the 10-foot hose. That way you don't have to deal with the headache of whether or not you need to buy a fuel filter or not, because that's just one less thing that you have to worry about. Now, attaching the hose to the heater is also very simple. All you have to do is hand tighten this end into the valve of the tank, and then you just attach this end to the heater. You just got to make sure that everything is tight and secure, check for leaks, and now you have yourself a longer source of uninterrupted heat. Now, there may be times where you don't want to use the big tank, and that could just be because you're limited in space. Maybe you're an elderly person, or maybe you're just not comfortable with a large propane tank sitting in your bedroom or your living room. And that brings us to number 5, which is a propane tank refill adapter. When you run out of propane from your 1-pound canisters, instead of running out to buy more, or maybe you're snowed in and you can't even get out, you can just refill your 1-pound canisters from the propane that you have in your 20-pound tank with this adapter here. Now, there are a few types. I happen to have these two here. This one is an older type directly from Mr. Heater. This one you have to tighten with a wrench. And I also have this type here that is easier to attach to the tank, and you can just attach this one without a wrench. Now, if you're going to refill your 1-pound canisters, you need to be doing this outside or in the garage with adequate ventilation. You don't want to be doing this indoors. So all you do is attach the adapter to the valve on the tank. You then attach the 1-pound canister to the other end here. You're going to flip the tank upside down on a secure surface, and then you're going to open up the valve on the bigger propane tank. And what that will do is allow propane to flow into your smaller canister, which should only take about a minute or so. After it's full, you want to shut off the valve on the big tank. You unscrew and take off the smaller canister, and now you have yourself a 1-pound canister that you can reuse. Unfortunately, I can't show you guys this last step because all of my canisters are full, but there are a ton of videos that you can find on YouTube that will show you guys exactly how to do this last step. And don't worry if it sounds complicated right now. You just have to use caution and common sense. Follow the directions and you'll be good. So these are the 5 things that I think you should have for emergency heating. And I hope you don't ever have to use this for any extended period of time, but you just never know. If you guys found this helpful, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. I'll also leave some Amazon affiliate links of the parts in the description. I do get a small commission from Amazon that helps support my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.